Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome to the Customer Success webinar series. I am Scott Slomba, Head of Customer Success here at Komprise. And today we have Jeremy Esty, our Product Manager. And today we're going to talk about reporting and reporting best practices. Just a reminder for any of you new to these webinar series, what this is all about is we're going out to new customers. We're letting you know about the new features, new use cases, best practices, all things of that nature. It's not a marketing pitch, not a sales pitch. It's just a nuts and bolts conversation to help you make best use of your product. Before we get going, we do have a few logistics. Hopefully you've all figured out that the enlarge screen button here is that black button there. We do encourage you to ask questions. So please, you keep this thing interactive. It makes the webinar way more enriched. So you won't be able to ask audibly. You have to do it via text. So keep your eyes on that question mark button. I think you have to get out of full screen mode to see it. So you get out of full screen mode, hit the question mark button, and then ask away, please. We'll try and address questions in line as we go, and then we'll spend some time at the end to catch anything we didn't catch. We actually are going to do some polls today, so that's new. Well, actually, it's not new. We haven't done it in the last few webinars. So we'll probably do one before and after the demo. And again, you'll have to get out of enlarge screen mode, click the poll button to respond. And likewise, assets, click the paperclip buttons. And then speaking of questions, question we get on every webinar is, will this webinar be recorded? And the answer is yes. We record all our webinars and we put them on this site right here, komprise.com/techcrunch. And we also put them on the customer support portal. So the agenda today, this is primarily about reporting, but we do want to talk a little bit about 5.x. Hopefully you're all very well familiar with the next generation Komprise product, 5.x line. We actually have a release coming out later this week, 5.3. So Jeremy's going to give you an update of some of the major features, just so you're aware. And we could do deeper dives on any of these features that you're going to see in a bit. Just reach out to your CSM. And then we'll dive, once we do a quick update of there, we'll dive into the reporting. And a lot of this is going to be driven by demonstration. That's going to be the most of this webinar for today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jeremy.
Thank you, Scott. So just as a review, we released version 5.x earlier this year. We're about to release 5.3, hopefully tomorrow. And a big thing that we're getting a lot of positive feedback on for 5.x is our brand new, totally revised paradigm data stores tab, which replaces the shares tab. And we call it storage insights because it's not just a way to manage your storage, but it's a way to actually get insights on your storage, really understand your data. So there's a lot of reporting baked into that tab itself. And there's other webinars that you can watch. I encourage you to go through some of our previous webinars where we go through that in detail. We've also done a lot of things to migration. We're really making it, a standout feature for us. So you can see all these new features, different types of migrations that you can do now. We're now offering object-to-object migration and soon file-to-object migration. So those are exciting new things coming out. A lot of platform updates, things that will help you ease your configuration so you don't need storage, so you don't need Komprise support to configure your web proxy, for example. We have source target sync for Windows servers, and continually adding new partners to our ecosystem. We support Azure Lifecycle Cold Tier, added the new NetApp REST API, and then, of course, reports, which is the main topic of this presentation. We added a few more reports in 5.0, and as you'll see in 5.3, we're enhancing the reports feature as a whole. So I encourage you to, there are webinars on most of these things, so I encourage you to go watch these webinars or reach out to your CSM. We're happy to give very hands-on individual explanations on any of these new things.
Yeah, and actually a lot of those recordings are actually on the komprise.com/techcrunch site. And then also, if you're not already upgraded to 5.x, all you need to do is just file a support ticket, and we'll take care of you. So don't hesitate, please. Please upgrade. People are really enjoying the new release, getting a lot out of it.
All right, so moving on to the reports tab. We currently have, so you'll see, if you can see that screenshot, the reports tab is a bit revised from what it's been in previous releases. But the basic functionality, enabling users to easily customize and download PDF reports to share, is something that we had a lot of requests from customers with deep analytics, and now with data stores. There's so much data that you can comb through, but we found it was still a fairly manual process for customers to get this information in front of stakeholders and present it in a way that would be digestible and easily explain things like, how much orphan data do we have? How much is this particular business unit? How much storage are they using? How much money is that costing us? So we realized the need to provide easily digestible reports. So these are configurable in the reports UI and downloadable. We have 5 report templates today, and we now call them templates as of 5.3: Orphaned Data, Showback, Potential Duplicates, Migration Summary, and Users. And we also have the Query Summary, PDF, and Deep Analytics. So we've added all of these since between 4.8.3 and 5.0.
Oh, just quick comment, Jeremy, is the Showback report has been around. That was, I think, was that our first or second one? In any case, you did. There's a full-on webinar just on the Showback report back in May. So if you've been on these webinars in the past, you've seen Jeremy before, and he's worked for the Showback report, and it's also one of our most popular reports. And it's no surprise, because Showback was actually one of the biggest use cases for deep analytics. So now we have it nice and packaged up for you in a PDF, along with these other reports.
Yep, and it's even more useful or easy to configure now that we have version 5.3. Sorry about the dog. Let's go forward to so 3 of these reports require licensing deep analytics. So that's the Query Summary report, Orphaned Data, and Potential Duplicates. And we do have reports that do not require deep analytics, Showback in particular, and also Migration Summary and Users. So let me jump in.
And actually, while you're setting up the demo, let's kick off one of our polls here. So kicking this off right now, which pre-built reports are most useful to you? So mainly for the folks who are actually using 5.x, but if you're speculating, if you're not on 5x, love to hear back from you here. Oh, and by the way, if you want to hear what the poll results are, you're going to have to stick around till the end.
All right, so here, just to show the difference between 5.2 and 5.3, we have version 5.2. I want to make sure everybody gets to see the new data stores tab. This is very powerful, because a lot of times when you get questions about reports, it's really information that is answered within this tab. And there's so many cool hidden gems within here. So for example, here I can can expand all my storage, and I can see my different shares, and get so much data about them: growth, cold, free, and all these, whatever I have configured. And I can go ahead and add whatever I want here. There's so many different things we can report on: modified data, moved data, new data. So there's so much in here for you to look around and just see what's the most useful for your organization. And if I want to change my tabs, I can go ahead and just move it over to here, and now I'll be able to see that here. So there's most of the reporting within the application, I would say, is actually within data stores and within deep analytics, where you can query based on whatever criteria you want in order to narrow down the data set that you want to look at. So this is 5.2. We have our Showback report, which is our most popular report. You can open it up, you can customize it, pick different departments that you want to filter by or shares that correspond to these departments. But and you can have your cost model on, you can configure the title, but once you generate this, you can't save this for later use. So say you want to generate a Showback report for each department once a quarter or once a year, you'll have to manually go in, determine which shares are correspond to that department, and then generate the PDF. We've made that much simpler now in version 5.3. So now I have a Showback report. I can pick from existing templates that or reports that I've created from templates, or I can just pick, I can add a report here based on a template. So there's many ways of doing the same thing. So here I can say I want to create a new report based on this template. I'm going to call it Showback for my customer support department, or whatever I'd like to put there. I can customize this. So summary of current data footprint with savings opportunities for CS department. And I can pick which shares apply. So say these are all the file servers that correspond to this department. I go ahead and pick them, and I can save this report for whenever I want to look at it again, and I can go ahead and generate the PDF. And the beauty of this is now if I have 20 different departments or business units within my organization, I can pre-configure the Showback report for every one of these. And then whenever it's time to go and see, okay, how much are we actually spending for storage? How much are we saving with tiered data? In this case, none. I can do that on a periodic basis, and I don't have to redo any of this configuration. So here, if you haven't seen the Showback report, there's a presentation on it, but we break down your data in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, so we go into details on the contents of this report in another webinar, but I think the main thing, Jeremy, right, is the saving the customized versions of the report, right? That's new in 5.3?
Yep, 5.3, okay. Which is coming in this week.
Yep. So that's the new piece here.
So I'll go a little bit more into some of our newer reports that we haven't talked about. So the big one that we released in 5.0 is the potential duplicates report. So this one is, we had a lot of ask from different customers, and there's a couple of different use cases that we learned that it usually satisfies. The big one is I want to save storage by understanding my potential duplicates for large files and then reducing that duplicate footprint either by deleting those files or tiering them or asking the owners what can we do with these? Can we get rid of them? So what you'll notice here is that you can filter this report by any of the filters that you can use in DA. So you have, you can choose specific data stores if you'd like. You can even go down into directory, the feature we added in 4.9. But you don't have to. You can go across your entire organization. And that's the beauty of this report, because there are storage devices that will do deduplication for that storage device, but it's very difficult to deduplicate across your entire organization. Usually you don't even know where to start. When we were asking customers, what do you think your duplicate footprint is when designing this feature? Nobody had any idea. So this gives you, first of all, that idea. How many potential duplicates do I have? What is my duplicate footprint? And then it allows you to actually go into the file down to file level. What are these duplicates? Where are they? So over here, you'll notice we have two reports you can generate. There's a PDF and there's a CSV. This is your high level assessment and summary. This is your CSV of the top sets, and it'll tell you not only all the detail you filled out here, but the exact location of these files. You can also select potential duplicate match criteria. So you get to determine what constitutes a potential duplicate. And you'll notice we use the word potential duplicate. We don't do an MD5 or any kind of hash, because doing that across an organization would be an extreme, amount of computational resources. This is really designed to give you that overall idea at the very beginning before you have done any other analysis. This is where you can start. And based on the match criteria that you choose, you can then target those files and actually determine, are they real duplicates based on any other analysis that you'd like to do. So we have match file name and extension, just extension, created time, last modified time. And we also have this minimum file size here. We found that for the storage driven use case, even 10 megabytes is pretty reasonable, because you're not going to save that much storage deduplicating smaller files. But you can adjust this. You can go all the way down to 0 for this, but keep in mind that you're going to have a lot more false positives at very small numbers, and it's going to be a lot more computation for less benefit. We know there's also a compliance-driven use case where sometimes you have to, ensure that everything for a project has only one copy. There's not other copies proliferating other places. In those cases, we recommend you filter down the data set by data store, directory path, things like that. You can, again, go for exact directories within the data store filter.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yep.
We had a question come in.
All right.
But before I tell you what it is, I just want to remind folks that we do have a poll running, and to get that poll, you'll probably need to get out of enlarged mode, and then you see the little poll button to the right. But the question: how about the ability to send reports to users, department managers, periodically or on a scheduled basis via SMTP, email gateway, a monthly report on their usage, for example?
That's a great question. That is what we're planning for phase 3. So our thought was phase 1, allow the user to create these reports. Phase 2, allow you to save and customize. And phase 3, we want to allow you to email them on a scheduled basis. So that's something that's in the works. The timeline is still to be determined.
Yep, and don't be shy with the questions.
So here I'll just show you what a sample PDF looks like. So here you can see the number of potential duplicates, the size of potential duplicates, and the cost per year. You can turn off cost model if that's not relevant or meaningful to you. And you can see the breakdown by file size. And note that here our file size minimum was 10 megabytes, so we don't see anything here. But we also have already, I believe we've already hit our limit of the number of duplicate sets that we show. So again, we have recommendations, how much storage capacity you could free up, and also percent that is greater than 100 megabytes, for example, so that you can target those larger files. And this is the top 20 sets. This is a quick preview of the table that you can get with the CSV. So this will show you, this is of course just dummy data, but this will show you your largest duplicates and how many copies there are of each. so that you can get a sense of what kind of files you're dealing with. You'll note that most of this, or in this case, all of this information will be common to these files: the name, the extension, the last modified in this case, and of course the file size. But if you want to find the exact location, you'll need to download the CSV. So if I go ahead and generate CSV, I can open this file and I'll change my sharing. And this can be an iterative process. So you might download the PDF and then realize that, okay, I want to narrow my results a little bit. I want to refine my criteria or my duplicate match criteria. Then you can iterate as many times as you want and then finally download that, generate that CSV, which might take a little bit longer since there's a huge amount of computation involved. So let me end my share screen and share the potential duplicates. So you can see here, I can expand all these rows. So I still have my aggregate summaries up here. So all the information that I have in my PDF, but then I see my exact sets with all of, and by duplicate set, we mean all of these files that have this identical file name. And we actually list out the share and the path for every single copy we found. So this can be, in this case, it's unlikely all of these duplicates will have 15 copies. The most common number will be 2, of course. But in this demo, we have about 15 copies for each duplicate, and you can see each one. So you can go ahead and find the exact location, and you can determine whether this duplicate needs to be dealt with. And it goes all the way down. In this case, we have our limit that we set, I believe, was 10,000. So we have the top 10,000. Sorry, the top 1,000. Okay, I set it to 100. And you can also iterate on this spreadsheet if you want to, try another analysis. You can go ahead and adjust your parameters and do it again.
Hey, Jeremy, is Orphaned Data one of the reports you're looking to go through?
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to cover it in detail, but I can talk about it. Yeah.
Not to be a spoiler, but that's popping up at the top of the polls. Orphaned Data.
Is it interesting?
It is, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that one was our first, other than the query summary report, which is basically a PDF of the screens that you see in DA, Deep Analytics. That was our first report, and that was fairly popular, but we did notice that the Showback report has even more downloads. But the Orphan Data report is extremely powerful, and I believe there's another presentation where Ben talks about that. We have essentially, it searches for SIDs that are unresolved according to your Active Directory or your latest LDAP server. So let me pull this up. So here's Orphan Data, and again, this is configurable, so I can filter by whatever I'd like and save a copy. But here, a lot of times organizations will have mergers and acquisitions, or they'll have users that leave the organization. So this data is, the owners will be undefined. And this data is just kind of sitting there, often results in immense storage costs that are totally avoidable. So that's why this has been a common ask, and it's been a very highly requested report. And it seems a lot of people are having a lot of success with it and excited about using it.
And Jeremy, just to comment on that, yes, there is We don't have a webinar specifically on orphan data, but there is a webinar we did in the past on deep analytics, and it talks about leveraging the filter for orphaned, the queries you can make for orphan data and all that. And basically, we took what Ben showed earlier in the year, and it's now packaged in a PDF report like you're seeing right now.
Yeah,
so I just check out TechCrunch. Lots of great content there.
Yeah, check that one out. And that was, I believe, that was before we had the reports tab. So there was a report downloadable from Deep Analytics, but it was not from this reports tab.
Oh, actually, let me close out this poll before you get going, Jeremy, and we'll fire up the next one. Give me a second. I'm going to leave everybody in suspense for the results, so you have to stick around till the end. Actually, I just need to figure out how to fire up the next one. There we go. Okay, next poll. What other reporting features would be most useful to you? And you get 5 options. So again, if you need to go to the polls, you have to get out of enlarge mode, find that poll icon, and poll away. Okay, Jeremy.
All right. So I'll go over some best practices with the potential duplicates report. Let me share my screen again.
Oh, Jeremy, while you're doing that, there's 2 more questions came in. It might be the same question, 2 parts. Missing owners have also caused problems with recalls when customers can't recall data with missing owners. What does TOP signify in this report?
Okay. Missing owners noted. Yeah, and I should mention bulk recall has been a huge focus of ours from a product improvement standpoint, because we want to, it works 99%, but that needs to be 100. And so we've been doing a lot of improvements in bulk recall in the last few releases. So that we've already dramatically reduced the number of times our support team has to help. And we have further improvements planned for bulk recall. So that's an exciting development for Komprise.
Yeah, I think okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, for the what was the acronym they asked about?
TOP. And evidently that was somewhere in the report. I didn't catch it. My screen's kind of small.
For the Orphaned Data report?
I believe so.
Let's see. Oh, okay. It's top. So the top potential duplicates. That's probably the question, right? What do we mean by the top duplicates? Yeah, in this case, by file size. So the largest potential duplicates that we've identified. Our analysis starts with the largest file and goes down the list from largest to smallest until we hit whatever the pre-configured limits are. I think that answers that question.
If not, just ask again or ask for clarification.
So I'll go a little bit more into best practices. So you'll notice here there's this maximum sets and copies that you can configure. We normally don't go that deep into the the sausage making, but in this case, we found it could be helpful for customers if they wanted to configure some of these numbers. 1,000 seems small, but when you realize that you're typically looking for the largest files, we found that the top 1,000 and even less, the top few files have a huge outsized impact on the percentage of overall data footprint for your duplicates. So that's something that but that's something that you can play around with. If you really feel like you need to increase this farther than the current max, which is 1,000, the first thing I would do is look at reduce your data set by looking at what file types you're looking at. Generally, there's only a few file types or even file extensions that will have very large files, and that varies by industry and organization. So that's a quick way to filter down your data set while also making sure you're not excluding anything that would otherwise turn up. And you can also, filter by data store, things like that. If you still feel that for your use case, you need a larger number of maximum sets to analyze, then you can contact Komprise. This is something that we have been tuning, and we do plan to increase it depending on the need and depending on the use cases that we see. But it probably wouldn't be more than 10,000, because it should be very easy to get the information you need with that number of duplicate sets to analyze. And to be clear, this is the duplicate sets that we return. This isn't just all the files we analyze. So it's a small fraction of your total files. Similarly, this maximum copies to show per set. This is, we have to put in limitations for Elasticsearch. 100 is typically a large number. Again, the most common number of duplicates we see is 2, and then sometimes 3 or 4, occasionally up to 8, but higher than that is extremely rare. So this number, you might as well keep it as 100. It doesn't really, it probably won't affect the scalability of things unless you have if I were to uncheck all of these things, then you might get a lot of false positives, and then you might get potentially 100 duplicates. So it's all about your use case.
Hey, Jeremy, we're actually running past the bottom of the hour. I know time flies, huh? Yeah. So we might want to bop down to the best practices, because I think that was a pretty good closing statement there.
All right.
And then remind folks while Jeremy's going there, the poll is still open. And we have, I'll let you go through this, and then there's one other question to address.
Sure. So general best practices, your report for Showback, it's based on shares. So you can send these right now. You'd have to PDF and then manually send. Eventually, you'll be able to automate sending to different departments or divisions or groups for shares that they own. You can include cost model insights to see your potential savings. And similar with our Orphaned Data, you can include cost model insights. And these last 2 reports, migration summary and users, they're also available from the Migrate tab and the System Users tab. So they're the same reports you already have. We put them into this tab because when we start allowing you to automate sending of reports, we want you to be able to send these reports as well. So you can get automate as much as possible. And that's and potential duplicates. I've already gone over these best practices, but storage driven, focus on your largest file. You can filter different ways to stay under the maximum sets limits, and compliance different use cases. You might use a different set of filters because the file size will be less important in that case. And lastly, the roadmap, as I mentioned earlier. So phase 2 of this is coming out this week, which is the custom reports. And phase 3 is scheduling emailed reports. And we're very curious, what other reports would you like to see, and how important is scheduling reports so that we can prioritize it correctly against other reporting and related features?
I actually have some information on that last one. But to wrap this up, Jeremy, we have one question, and then I'll go through the poll results, which tackles that last phase there. So question, actually it's not a reporting question, but it's a roadmap question. For the bulk recall, has there been any discussion about making it more granular or putting in a checkbox so that it excludes subdirectories?
Yes, we are in the process of creating a feature which will probably be from data stores. Spoiler alert, we're building a directory explorer within data stores, so you can browse your data similarly to how you search it in deep analytics. And from there, we plan to add a feature where you can select specific subdirectories and bulk recall them.
Yeah.
So that's in the works.
And anecdotally, from my experience, that's a pretty popular request. So it's a pretty hot thing within product. Okay, poll results. Actually, I'll leave the second one open. So the first one was, what were the most useful reports? And number one was Orphaned Data. Number two, that was 55%. Number two was Showback, actually tied. Showback and duplicates tied, both at 22%. And the second poll, you'll have like 1 second before you to submit it. This poll is what other reporting features would be most useful? And number one, 71% is scheduling and emailing periodic reports. And then tied for number two is at 14% is reporting on access metrics and reporting by department field. But you don't need this poll to give us feedback. You can stick it right now in the question mark area on anything, reporting or anything else for that matter. It's all fair game, as well as on the right hand side of the screen, customer success at komprise.org. .com. Send us any feature request needs, inquiries, whatever. And then also this is being recorded as well as all our previous webinars. So again, go on the left-hand side of the screen here, we get komprise.com/techcrunch, and we also put it on our support portal. We'll hang out for a little bit. If there's any other questions, feel free to chime in. And then if we don't see anything, other than that, we'll conclude here. So thank you all for coming. We look forward to, oh yeah, it's another thing. I should put a plug in there. Requests for future webinars. Please let us know that as well. You can send us an email or you can just pop it in the question mark box right now. So, all right, so that concludes the webinar. Thank you very much for showing up. And yeah, we'll just hang here for a few minutes in case anybody else has any other questions. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Now the question is, how long do we wait? Actually, Darren, the man behind the scenes, are people still on or they're pretty much off? It's a wrap. Okay, we're done.